Hi, I don't want to spend my whole life thinking about my childhood and my education and my JC days and all those things, but I feel like I get a lot of emails every year from people who do badly in JC, and I would like to speak directly to you guys. So, really quick, when I was a kid, I used to read a lot of books, play a lot of games, video games especially, and I never did my homework very much. So, even in primary one, even in kindergarten, I remember not preparing for like spelling tests and stuff. Like, I wouldn't bring my pencil, but I would still pass because I read a lot of books. I don't know. And when I was in primary four, when I was in primary three, I qualified for the gifted education program. Again, if you ask me, I think the main thing different between gifted kids and regular kids is that gifted kids probably had access to books and went to the library a lot and did a lot of reading and played a lot of logic puzzles, and we just naturally kind of spent a lot of time in that space. And some of us were able to manage our time effectively and stuff like that, and some of us were not. And I was one of those who was not. So I didn't do very well for my PSLE by GEP standards. I had like 245 for PSLE, which didn't qualify me to go to Raffles Institution, which my parents were quite upset about. But I went to Victoria School, which was awesome, Neil Cine Laboratory. And there, I didn't do very well in Sec 1 GEP. And in Sec 1 GEP, they asked me to go to MOE headquarters at Grange Road. And it was this really traumatizing, intimidating experience where they asked me to explain why I did badly and promise that I would not waste the resources that were being spent on me, and how well privileged I was and what a gift it was, and how I was squandering it. And I was just this 12-year-old kid, so scared and saying whatever they wanted me to say. Anyway, I tried to psych myself up to study, but I couldn't. I tried to do my homework, but I couldn't. I was just bad at managing my time. I was just bad at. I didn't reflect daily. I would, try to get by, find excuses, slip up. I may have I may have ADHD. I don't know. I don't want to get diagnosed because I don't want it to be my thing. For a period of time, I was kind of relating with that. Anyway, so I got like 14 points for my O levels, which got me in, which I was hoping to go to VJC or SAJC or some good JC. It's funny how I'm 25 now and I don't give a shit about any of that. I don't care about my schools anymore. I don't care about. I wish I had spent more time playing. I wish I had spent less time in school. I wish I could have skipped school altogether. I would have had a better life right now. But I'm jumping ahead of myself. Going back, I didn't do well in. So I did okay for for O levels. I got 14 points. I ended up in Nanyang JC for the first 3 months, which was really far, and I ended up skipping school very soon. And then I transferred to Tampines JC, where I met some old friends. And I felt really uncomfortable in JC. I felt really stifled. I felt like what we were learning was very fake and artificial. I felt like it had no bearing on reality. I felt like I didn't know what I was going to do with my A level results. I didn't really see myself wanting to go to uni. In J1, I was going for lectures and tutorials, and I hated it, and I hated just waking up in the morning and going to school. And I didn't want to do my homework. I wanted to. What did I want to do? I wanted to go out with friends. I wanted to play music. I wanted to start a band, which I did. And I wanted to understand people and the world, and I would read books. But school was just horrible for me. I just hated it. And I picked up smoking and those things. And I repeated a year in J1. I told my parents I wanted to go to transfer out and go to poly, but they weren't hearing it, wouldn't hear any of it. So I repeated another year. So I repeated a year in JC, and then I did my A levels, and I didn't do very well. I got like BBS and BB, and I got A for GP, which I'm pretty proud of still. I remember improvising my essay without following any structure, and I still got an A. So ha. And yeah, I didn't qualify for any of the uni courses that I wanted. So NUS, SMU, NTU. I applied for NUS FASS. I even wrote like this really heartfelt appeal letter, but I doubt they even looked at it. I tried to get into SMU Arts and Social Science, or the equivalent, and I tried to get into NTU Comms or Media Studies. And I mean, call this sour grapes or synthesized happiness or whatever, but I'm really glad I didn't get into any of those things, because I feel like the experiences I've had since are way better for me for me. And I'm pretty sure if I had gone to university, I would have continued my cycle of procrastination and failure, and I'd just be really miserable and anxious. And so after JC, I went to national service, 2 years of that. And after national service, I decided to retake my A levels to prove to myself that I could do it. And I would try to study on my own, and I would try to practice on my own. And me doing that was initially I tried to psych myself up, try to get excited. I tried to watch videos, to get myself into the mood for doing maths. I would like read up on the history of trigonometry and calculus, and it's all really interesting. It's way more interesting than they tell you in school. Like how Newton invented calculus to figure out like the rotation of the planets, and how a parabola is the intersection of a plane and a cone. Blew my mind when I learned about that. And just the relationship between the area under a curve and the rate of change, speed over time. And yeah, it's all these interesting things about reality and the world around us that you don't quite get in JC, in my opinion. Maybe I was unlucky, or maybe I was not in the right mood. But halfway through my attempt at taking private A's, I was blogging as much as I could as well. And I'm not sure what my motivations or interests were then. With hindsight bias, I find myself wanting to say that I thought of my A levels as a convenient excuse to pass time while I was doing my blogging. But at the time, I didn't know when exactly my blogging would take off. I was hoping that it would, but I had no proof that it would. I was just hoping. And around, I think, July or August, I was invited to the Istana to meet the Prime Minister and a bunch of bloggers. So it was just kind of right place, right time. And I wrote a post about it, and it went super viral, and I got a lot of attention. So I just kind of was thinking, hey, maybe I can do this blogging thing. Maybe I can try to write for an online magazine or something. And along the way, I was hoping to be a SIA flight steward, and I was thinking I could like work and then fly and write in cafes all over the world. I romanticized that a lot. But what happened was the founder of my startup that I'm working at right now, he emailed me because he was looking for someone to manage their blog, our blog. So I am now the blog editor at Referral Candy. And he was looking for someone to just take charge of that. And so he asked me to meet for coffee. And I've been there ever since, and it's been the best experience of my life. I've learned so much. And the most important thing I have learned, I think, is the importance of self-direction, the importance of understanding your motivations, your interests, what drives you, what guides you, what you want in life. I always hated JC because, it's not fair to say that I hated JC. I hated my experience of JC, and my experience of JC was frustrating because I couldn't see a very clear path between where I was and where I wanted to be. I didn't even know where I wanted to be. I just knew where I didn't want to be. I knew I didn't want to be, in the rat race. I didn't want to be in some shitty corporate job. I didn't want to be working for someone I didn't respect. I didn't want to be wearing a shirt and tie and going to Raffles Place every day and just living that corporate life. Like, that disgusted me. I would rather have been like a manual laborer or banquet staff and playing guitar on the weekends like that and reading books. That sounded like a much better life for me. So every outcome that JC was designed to possibly give, every like decent outcome just seemed like a lose horrible situation for me. On hindsight, I realized that I never learned to be responsible for things or for myself. Like, my parents were too kind to me. They thought that if they just provided everything for me, I would just focus on my studies. But the problem with that is, if you don't take ownership for things, you don't be responsible for things, you don't know how to be accountable. And I never had to be accountable for anything, right? So I didn't have to make my bed, I didn't have to put away the dishes, I didn't have to wash the dishes, I didn't have to do chores. And since I got married and bought a house, I enjoy how, having a house keeps me focused. If you look over there, that's like a X effect for me to keep track of my daily writing practice. And I had nothing like that when I was a kid. So, like, studying for school just felt miserable with no outcome. And Just, oh my god, it's so bad. And I feel like at 25 years old, I'm just beginning to unravel the neuroses and anxieties that I picked up over the 15 years or so of my education. And it's hard, man. It's just, life is hard. Paying bills is hard, even when you like your job. Morning commuting to work back and forth every day, it just sucks so much worse than school. But I am the master of my fate. I'm the captain of my fate, the master of my destiny. And that feels brilliant. It's so good to be in control of my life. I feel like I was right all along in the sense that, one day I would meet somebody who would recognize my worth as a writer or as a thinker or as whatever. I have since had to turn down so many good job offers because I have to stick with the best one that I have. And I meet people who, and I mean, I don't mean to gloat, but I mean, I'm sort of gloating because there were people who told me that, you can't be an entrepreneur, it's not so easy, well, I don't even, I used to argue with people so much just to try to validate my view of the world. But the problem is when you're a teenager, you don't have any stakes, you don't have any assets. I mean, unless you're rich or something, but get out of here if you're rich, I don't care about you. You don't have any skin in the game, you don't have money, you don't have anything. So all you have is your word, right? So when you're talking to people, you shouldn't even be talking to people, it's a waste of time. Anyway, this video is getting rather long, and I just want to say, if you're in JC and you're stressed and you're frustrated, I feel for you. I know what it's like. I've been there. I look back and I still freaking hate that I even had to go to JC. I wish I could have left school at Sec 4 or Sec 2 even, I wish I had spent more time writing, coding, drawing. And there are all these skills that you can pick up that are so monetizable. And just work on awesome projects and share it with the world and people. I mean, there's a lot of complexity that I can't describe in the next couple of minutes, so I'm not going to. I just want to say that, ask me some questions and I'll answer them. Does that sound fair? I believe in you. I believe that you can, just because you failed your A-levels doesn't mean you won't be happy, you won't be well adjusted, you can't be rich. Now, I'm not rich, I'm living in a HDB, but hey, I got an aircon, right? And I have a MacBook. And life is good. Life is awesome. It's so much better than it was when I was like emo and depressed. I was probably depressed in JC. So if you're screwing up your studies, just focus on the fundamentals in life. Build good relationships with people, cultivate a work ethic, keep track of your time, keep track of your money, and just hang in there. Focus on what's important to you. Good luck. Done.